The X-Men's secret lair is in the basement floor of a school, yet in the film franchise, we see very little of the students. In theory, a film based on the angsty teenagers learning to control dangerous new mutant abilities at the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning is a pretty good pitch for a film. While you're at it, why not throw in a dash of psychological horror just to really drive home the adolescence is confusing, difficult, and scary metaphor? Given a long enough leash, the right director could make a memorable and distinct film out of these raw materials. Unfortunately, and in large part due to forces beyond his control, writer-director Josh Boone was not that man. The New Mutants would be the last mutants in the original X-Men franchise. Welcome to Superhero Cinema Club, an in-depth exploration of the history of superhero films. I'm Mark Schiff, and joining me as always, it's the bear of compassion, love, and trust to my bear of fear, shame, and self-destruction. It's Mike Cards. Mike,
wait, were there two bears?
They say in all people there are two bears.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the duality of man, yes.
No, it's the duality of the bear that lives inside of us. It's not...
The bears are a metaphor.
The bears are a literal bear that comes and attacks the students at the school, Mike. Or did you not watch The New Mutants? Oh my god. I apologize. It appears that my co-host has skipped the 2020 X-Men spinoff, The New Mutants, the film we'll be discussing on.
I might have spaced out a little bit.
Wow. We're also going to be picking our peaks and valleys from all 8 of the X-Men films we discussed this season. We'll also be giving out the coveted SHCC Best Film Award, or the Supey, to our favorite film in the franchise. So be sure to stick around for that. But first up, we have to talk about The New Mutants. Hopefully you watched it at home, unlike my co-host here.
I did watch it.
Mike, I don't believe you. Maybe it was your 10th rewatch, in which case, good for you for loving this movie. In any event, it is better to have recently seen this film so you can be up to speed on our discussion. You can watch The New Mutants streaming now on Disney+. You could buy it on Blu-ray if you wanted to spend money on such an item.
I'm sure it's a bargain right now.
Judgments. Mike, it's kind of interesting because this movie was pitched as John Hughes meets Stephen King meets superheroes, almost literally. We'll talk shortly about how successful it was in achieving those goals, but it did get me thinking, what would be other good blank meets superhero pitches? I'll go ahead and start us off because I've really thought about this a lot, and honestly, I think you're going to like mine.
Okay.
I'd love to see a mockumentary romance. Something like a news reporter meets a guy and their courtship set against a superhero backdrop. Now, specifically, what I would love to see a film version of would be an adaptation of Alex Ross's The Marvels. Do you remember reading that? I think I might have borrowed it from you. Yeah. So if you've never read it, great book. And if you've never read it, it kind of reimagines the origins of the Marvel comic universe through the eyes of a reporter and like regular people on the street as they're witnessing all of this superhero destruction and action, the confusion that they all feel with this powerful new entities introduced to their lives. I really feel like you could make an amazing film that focuses on those implications as it relates to religion, human evolution. Take the everyday person on the street perspective on, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I could see it in some ways kind of being like Cloverfield a little bit, where it's like, oh my God, there's monsters. A little more action than Cloverfield, but I also think the man on the street interviews in the Daredevil TV series are kind of achieving a similar thing, but I really do think there'd be an amazing movie or some kind of special. Imagine too, Mike, you just set this all against the main events in the MCU as we've already known them. So like a couple could meet during the Battle of New York and then somehow happen to be involved in all these significant moments in the MCU history, kind of seen from their point of view as opposed to the heroes. I just think that'd be an awesome movie.
But you want to see it as a mockumentary?
I don't know that the whole thing has to be mockumentary because I think that actually was one of the issues I had with Cloverfield. But like as I said, if you make one of your main characters a reporter, and obviously this would be major news stories
Yeah.
across all of the media, right? Then that's kind of your way into that point of view and just, like I said, just giving a ground's eye view of all the superheroism that's happening.
Okay. I think it could work. A movie like that might cut away from the action. They'd be like, oh shit, something's happening. We got to get away from there.
Yeah,
Take our camera crew out of there. But like, that's part of the fun of superhero movies is we stay there and see the action and all the destruction and chaos that happens.
Mike, don't worry. My script has, this hypothetical script that I'm definitely not working on in my free time. It's got plenty of action, bro.
Okay. All right.
What's your mashup pitch?
You texted me this 2 days ago about what this question would be, and I've been thinking about it. And the best thing I was able to come up with, and actually something that I thought that would be something that I would want to see personally, because we've seen a lot already of like, ooh, what if superheroes were a heist movie? No, we already have that. That's Ant-Man, and that's even to a lesser extent like Avengers Endgame. Oh, I want to see like a spy thriller. No, that's Winter Soldier. So we already have that. So they've already like Marvel and DC to a certain extent have already been doing a lot of like genre mashup movies like this. But the one thing that I could think of that they haven't done yet and something that I would want to see, give me like the psychological slasher movie. And the one thing that came to my mind was like, what if American Psycho but superhero movies? And
Wow.
here's what I got for you. I'm gonna pitch this for you. Ready? So
Okay.
we follow Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage. Throughout the movie, he's killing people. It's psycho. It's weird. He's crazy. He's funny. Maybe he has a day job too on Wall Street or so. You could put it on Wall Street if you want to like really go all in on the American Psycho comparison. If you want, at the end of the movie, we find out either A, it's all been in his mind the whole time, like in American Psycho, or what I was thinking is like the symbiote he's been infected with has actually been affecting his mind and making him think that he's been killing all these people the whole time, but he's actually not. He's just become like completely crazy by the end of it. That's my superhero genre mashup fantasy film.
Yeah, it's a good pitch. Maybe a little too close to all the details specifically in American Psycho. With that said, I love the idea. And actually, I think the Cletus Cassidy thing is great because what would be awesome is if you have a movie and the first act is just entirely just a serial killer. And then he gets infected with something that makes him even worse. And so you're
Mm.
like, oh my God, this like is escalating even more than like serial killing, which feels kind of like the end game in a lot of movies.
It's less on the nose than Joker being king of comedy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll get into that one in a season down the line, but today we've got to tackle the New Mutants, and we start, as always, with our first category, the Tale of the Cape. So, Mike, the New Mutants was released on August 28th, 2020. It's kind of interesting because we talked in the last episode about Dark Phoenix, that movie is considered one of the biggest box office bombs of all time, apparently. It only made back, I think, $100 million, only, quote unquote.
Only, right?
It's estimated to have lost more than $100 million. Now, this movie had a budget of $67 to $80 million, and it only made $49.2 million worldwide. So, like, it is officially in the red. It didn't even make back its production budget. With a release date of August 28th, 2020, you might be able to imagine why that would be. It was obviously released during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, not a lot of people seeing movies in theaters in 2020. Mike, I don't think this movie ever really had a chance. To elaborate on that, we must go back to a lot of details around how this film first got off the ground. Writer-director Josh Boone, who's best known at the time as the director of The Fault in Our Stars, the teen drama starring Shailene Woodley, and I think it was Angel Ellsworth, however you say his name. Yeah, how to say his name.
The guy from Baby Driver.
The guy from Baby Driver is his name.
Yeah, it's literally the only other movie he's directed.
I think he's got a couple other credits.
No, he did a TV show and that was it. And then these two movies. And that's it.
Yeah, not a robust history for him, but again, I think a lot of his vision was undercut because he pitched the movie as the first film in a trilogy of X Men horror movies. Now, initially, the first draft of the script was set in the 1980s to kind of keep the continuity from the X Men film series going. It was supposed to take place 3 years after the events of X Men Apocalypse and was supposed to have brief cameos from the X Men themselves. He kind of envisioned it as a full fledged horror movie that would have something of a vibe like Stephen King meets John Hughes. It was also going to have a post credit scene that introduced officially Mr. Sinister into the X Men universe. I know we speculated a little bit about casting in our last episode. Mike, do you know who they had on tap to play Mr. Sinister?
Well, I know who the fans want today, which is amazing. It's Javier Bardem.
He could be good. At the time, they had John Hamm, Don Draper himself from Mad Men playing Mr. Sinister. I could see it. I actually like it more than Bardem personally.
I could see it. That's a good choice. I'd put him number 2 behind Javier, personally.
Okay, fair enough. The studio was a little resistant about going full horror, so they kind of compromised, toned down the blood and violence to achieve more of a young adult PG-13 vibe. The original script also featured Warlock, who's an essential member of the New Mutants, in my opinion, but he was just too expensive for the film's budget. They kind of decided after X-Men Apocalypse was not a big hit and people didn't like it to just pivot from full continuity and set it in the modern day. So Josh Boone shoots the movie and he delivers a cut of the film that is focused as they wanted in kind of that PG-13 young adult realm. But a little movie came out in 2017 that caused them to actually rethink maybe we should go full horror with this. Mike, do you know what movie that might be?
A Quiet Place is my best guess.
That's a good guess. However, It, Part 1.
Oh, yeah.
So Fox released the trailer for the New Mutants that heavily highlighted its scary elements. You can go back and watch it now, and they really do position it as kind of like a horror take on X-Men. It got people very excited. So excited, in fact, that Fox decided to reverse course and embrace Boone's original vision for the film. So they planned massive reshoots, maybe even up to half of the movie, to make it significantly scarier and more distinct. However, there was an event out of their control that tanked everything: the Walt Disney Fox merger. We discussed this on previous episodes. It's obviously a big part of where the MCU is going to be going. You can make the argument that the X-Men were a big part of why Disney wanted to even acquire Fox in the first place. But once they took over 20th Century Studios, as it was rebranded, they just canceled all reshoots. So ultimately, they're like, look, dude, you're not going to get your reshoots. You just got to finish the film as it is. So by the time it was done, 3 years had passed between when they shot and when they finally were finishing up the film.
That's crazy.
3 years, dude. They shot it in 2014. This movie came out in 2020, Mike, 6 years after it was shot. They basically
Shelved it.
yeah, they just kind of put it on the shelf for a while. We'll figure it out. The sequels and everything else was scrapped. And in the end, Josh Boone just completed the final cut by finishing the editing and visual effects all on his original footage, which means there were no reshoots for this film, Mike. And that is a big part of superhero movies. This is how famously the MCU kind of makes their films as audience friendly as possible, let's say.
Yeah, that's definitely how they operate, for sure.
I know that was a long intro, but all that is to say, I don't really put this on Josh Boone and his co-writer, Nate Lee. There's just too much other stuff going on here for him to actually really achieve any amount of success with what he had pitched initially. I'm not going to say that Josh is a victim here. He's been pretty candid about how difficult this was. It's a real struggle for him. I feel bad for the guy. It just didn't work. And as we'll discuss soon, I don't think the film works either.
Fair enough.
I do want to talk about a couple other crew members involved. Mike, I was very interested. Peter Deming was the cinematographer on this film. So I looked him up, and his resume is absolutely astonishing. It's truly one of the craziest resumes I've ever seen from a
Yeah.
cinematographer.
Okay.
His very first cinematography job, Evil Dead 2. One of the great horror films of all time. One of the coolest uses of cinematography in terms of first person point of view with the camera.
That's amazing.
Amazing job, Peter Deming. He does My Cousin Vinny, in my opinion, kind of a classic.
Yeah, great movie.
Austin Powers 1 and 2.
Okay. I mean, I don't cite those as like, look at the lighting in this scene and look at like, yeah, for sure. It's a very competently filmed and shot movie for sure. Both of those.
Great
Yeah.
comedy films. Great
Yeah.
comedy films. He works with Wes Craven on Screams 2 through 4. And Mike, Peter Deming was a cinematographer on what many people cite as the greatest film of all time and topped many lists of the greatest film of the 21st century thus far. This motherfucker shot Mulholland Drive, dog. Mulholland Drive.
That's crazy. He's working with D. Lynch.
Peter Deming, if by some chance this podcast finds its way to your ears,
Come on the show,
we
bro.
salute you. And we would love to talk to you about your experience shooting the New Mutants and probably ask you way more questions about Austin Powers and Evil Dead.
Mulholland Drive, come on. That's the movie to talk to him about.
I guess. It's fine. No, Mulholland Drive is a classic. The other credit I wanted to call out in terms of the crew here is composer Mark Snow. Mike, I don't really feel like the score to this film is very memorable whatsoever. It's really atmospheric. It's not really there to like have a theme. It's there to more accentuate the scares, quote unquote scares, and those kinds of things. However, Mark Snow, who passed away on the 4th of July last year, so rest in peace, he was the composer of another massive X title in pop culture. He gave us the X-Files theme, which I think is absolutely iconic. I can hear it in my head right now.
Did he do the theme for the movie, or was he the actual creator for the theme for the show?
The TV show.
That's amazing then. Props to him, because that's like one of the most iconic TV theme songs of all time.
Yeah, if you look up his resume, he had a lot more experience actually in television than film. Got to think that they brought him on based on trying to maybe make some connections between the tone of the X-Files and what they were potentially going for in this film. But I mean, that's an iconic TV theme song for sure. Props to you, Mark Snow. Rest in peace. This film was produced by Simon Kinberg and the team that had kind of taken over after Bryan Singer's exit. We'll just leave it at that. Now let's talk about the cast, Mike, because we get a whole new cast of mutants in this film. And that starts at the top with Danny Moonstar, played by Blue Hunt. She is a Native American mutant who has the ability to physically manifest the greatest fears and darkest secrets from a person's mind into reality as tangible illusions.
Mirage,
as she's known in the comics later. She actually went by Psyche initially in the New Mutants, her character.
I think a 90s diss slang word would have been better for her than Mirage. Psych!
Next up is Ilyana. My English tongue doesn't want to really say
Ilyana.
Ilyana Rasputin, aka Magic, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. I still can't say her name. Elena Rasputin. There we
Get
go.
close enough.
We also got Sam Guthrie, played by Charlie Heaton, aka Cannonball. He's a mutant from Kentucky who can propel himself into the air at jet speed, thereby rendering himself temporarily invulnerable, something we'll talk about a little bit later on. We've got Roberto Bobby DaCosta, aka Sunspot, played by Henry Zaga. Or is it Zaga, Mike? Do you want to correct me on that? Is it Zaga or Zaga?
I don't know, but you finally got Sunspot in the movie. You were clamoring for him the other day.
I kind of was. He shows up a bit in Days of Future Past, and I'm a big Sunspot guy in that movie. I think he's awesome. He can emit and manipulate furnace-like heat and solar energy from his body, Mike. Imagine that. Hoo-wee.
I don't have to. I can see it on screen.
And rounding out our crew of the New Mutants, we've got Rain Sinclair, a.k.a. Wolfsbane, played by Arya Stark herself, Maisie Williams.
Yay.
There was a deafening silence. I expected you to jump in and be like, Arya is one of the greatest parts of Game of Thrones. I love her whole character arc and the faceless man and all that. Just shaking your head.
We haven't caught up on Game of Thrones, I guess, in my recent feelings about it. So
Okay. I know you're not a big fan of where the franchise has gone from late seasons onwards, so we'll leave it
correct.
at that. But
Yes.
I am personally a big fan of the Arya character, and I like Maisie Williams in Game of Thrones. In this movie, not as much. Some of that has to do with just a weird take, Mike, on the character of Wolfsbane. A far too literal take on her mutant abilities, I would say.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get into that.
The other main cast member in the New Mutants, who is not a kid, is Dr. Cecilia Reyes, played by Alice Braga. She is the strict mentor and doctor at the facility who is also a mutant capable of generating protective plasma energy force fields, thereby entrapping the New Mutants in the facility. Mike.
You've seen her before. She's been around. She was in Predators with
Yeah.
Adrian Brody. I Am Legend. She's been in that. You've seen her. She's been around.
Yeah, she is one of those faces. I've definitely seen her before. I couldn't really tell you where. I just want to say, I don't think any of the actors involved here, all of whom, including Charlie Heaton, who I liked quite a bit on Stranger Things, I'm not putting any of it on them. I think the issues with this film kind of have to do with their collective lack of chemistry and what I found to be an extremely boring and flat script. That's kind of my take on it. So you guys all get passes for all the things we're about to say to your movie. Josh Boone, you also get a pass giving the studio interference. So this is really for the Disney executives who messed up this movie so profoundly. All of our criticisms are directed at you. Shame.
I feel like I'm in the Goodwill Hunting scene right now where it's like, it's not your fault. Like, Josh Boone, it's not your fault. Everybody in the cast, Maisie Williams, it's not your fault, man. Sorry.
Anya Taylor-Joy, not your fault. Yeah, seriously. All right, let's just jump into our categories. And as always, we kick it off with the best action scene. Mike, there are literally 3 action scenes in this movie. Now, I know that, again, that was part of the pitch, was like, we're going to not make a action-heavy superhero film.
I'm sorry. That alone, what you just said, should have been like, fire that executive, because who doesn't want an action movie out of a superhero film?
Fair enough. The movie does actually open with the first of the action sequences, the scene where Danny's powers, unbeknownst to her, go totally crazy, and her reservation is devastated by what they assume to be his tornado, but is later revealed to be the demon bear. I don't really know how you mix up a supernatural bear with a tornado, but the film isn't really particularly interested in the hows and whats. It's too busy trying to wrongfoot the audience, who basically immediately figured out that it was her causing all of this destruction. At least it was for me. I was like, oh, it's her. She's definitely the one that's doing this.
It also doesn't tell us why. Like, what happened to her in that moment at the beginning of the film caused her to summon the bear?
I think it's just kind of like mutant abilities just suddenly summon out of nowhere, it feels like, or like when you're hitting puberty, which is, again, a really good entry point to a good film. Like, Sunspot wakes up and he's falling through his bed because he's melted the mattress around him. He falls through the floor below him and his house catches on fire. That would be a sick opening. He doesn't know what's going on. He's confused and scared.
Yeah, totally.
That's what kills me so much about this movie is like, I thought about this metaphor, and it's maybe imprecise, but you buy a parcel of land that overlooks a mountain range and the beach, and it's absolutely beautiful. And then you hire the worst contractor in the world to build your house, and you get this terrible shack with like leaky plumbing and bad floors and this awful house that really should have been an amazing, residence.
That'll be $2 million.
Yeah, seriously. And then literally we don't get, we have little flashes of seeing a girl in the swimming pool and
Oh, it's a horror scene, not an action
a
scene.
priest. There's really not any action until the sequence where Ilyana and Sam get attacked by the smiling men, plural, I suppose. Those dudes are a little freaky. I actually did kind of mess with them. They look pretty scary. Their lack of eyes was disturbing, and their kind of weird lurching kind of freaked me out.
It's Slenderman.
It looked like Slenderman.
They're literally just like Slenderman with a smiley face. Yeah.
Yeah, they look like Slenderman. That's what I call
the
him.
plural, Slenderman.
Mr. Slenderman. Another one where it's like, man, you're so close here, but it's fine. It was okay. I think by default, the best action scene is the climax against the demon bear. We see Dr. Reyes get devoured. We see, honestly, and probably the sickest parts of this entire movie, Ilyana finally brings Lockheed back up.
Yes.
Lockheed is there. Oh,
For the one shot.
he's in 2 shots I counted. I wanted so much more from this guy. He's adorable. His sounds are cute.
Tell the folks who he is for those who don't know.
If you don't know, he, I believe, is initially introduced as Kitty Pryde's pet and kind of, sidekick. And he's just this adorable little dragon that hangs out with the X-Mansion with Kitty Pryde and eventually Magic. It's just a great little dude. Just a fun little fantasy addition to the X-Men universe. He's just a fun character. Is a super good Easter egg for comic book nerds. And he's in 2 shots of this movie, Mike. It's so frustrating. And the design was good. Like I said, he looks cool.
I like that he was a hand puppet too originally. It's like, oh, okay, we're leading into that. Like the hand puppet's going to become Lockheed, and then he's there for one shot, and then like a supplementary shot, and that's it.
I like the hand puppet conceptually.
Yeah.
In execution, I found it to be a little cringe. I guess that's kind of the story of this movie.
I don't know. You do that like a couple times at the beginning of the movie, and then like the rest of the time, he's turned into his full animated self. I don't know.
They should have just brought him in as like part of the cast, and we could have had another baby Grogu situation on our hands, bro. Seriously.
You're right. Yeah.
He's so adorable and cute. He doesn't go bad or get dark. He's just a cute little dragon. So yeah, by default, I'm going with the final action scene, I guess. Same, I'm assuming, Mike.
You're thrilled to talk about it, but yeah, I'm going with the same thing as well. Like the first 70 minutes of this movie has 0 action, and then it finally kicks into gear, and it's too little too late. But the final climax with the giant CGI bear and Anya Taylor-Joy finally busting out the sword from her magic character is pretty cool. I was like, all right.
The bear is magic.
No, but you give me some more of her with the sword, the energy sword that she has, and with Lockheed and stuff. I'm like, I could watch some more of that for sure.
Absolutely, yes. I'd like to see more magic moving forward in the X-Men universe. Let's just put it that way. All right, I guess we also have to include the best non-action scene.
It's a lot to choose from.
It's the entire movie, essentially. I don't know, man. I would say, quite honestly, there's only one scene that I was genuinely like, oh, that's kind of cool. And that was the scene where they find out that the facility is not a training ground for the X-Men, but is in fact, I guess, a lab to prepare them to be assassins for the Essex Corporation, which is Mr. Sinister's company that he runs as the front.
I had no idea that was the objective.
Like they say, because she's always being like, my superior is this and my superior is that.
Yeah, and then they show Essex Corp on the computer screen at one point.
And they have that conversation in the room where she's like, she would be a perfect killer. And then, she's like, they were never training us to be X-Men. They were training us to be assassins.
Okay.
Again, that reveal kind of worked for me. Kind of.
Again, I spaced out a little bit, so sorry. Probably during that part.
You got any non-action scenes to shout out?
I thought the scene where they're in the clock tower, like when all the kids go up in the clock tower in the middle of the night, I was like, that's actually pretty cool and a good way to show them bonding, and in the same vein as a movie like Breakfast Club. That scene felt like where they were the most connected organically, like they had the best dialogue between one another, and they were just like kind of ribbing each other, kind of poking fun at each other, but also they were telling personal stories that meant a lot to them. And I'll just kind of give it to that as that didn't suck.
That's the standard we're at. Yeah, with this one for sure. We got to talk next category. about secret layers and costuming, although I don't think there's a whole lot to say here because this movie has entirely one setting, which is Millbury Hospital. It was filmed at the real life Medfield State Hospital in Massachusetts, for those listeners who might be familiar with that neck of the woods. I hated it, honestly. So, Legion, I don't know if you've ever watched that show.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah.
It's set in an institution as well, but like it's extremely stylized and very colorful, and they make that set pop. And in this movie, it just looks dull and dingy and rundown. I suppose that was an aesthetic choice on the part of the filmmakers, but it feels more like this is what we could get, so let's just film here. It's just nothing to me. It's just very blah. There's a big part of why I didn't like the movie.
My thought was Shutter Island, but less cool. Shutter Island has like amazing
Yeah,
production design with all the sets that they have. Like every set feels different, even though it's all in the same facility. And this all feels like it's the same facility, like everywhere you go.
exactly. It can be done. It just wasn't achieved here. And then because the film is trying to be grounded and more realistic in a teen drama, there's no costumes. I guess maybe Magic to a certain extent has identifiable costume. I do actually think Cannonball's later look with like the puffy jacket and the
And the
goggles,
goggles, yeah.
yeah, really, really cool. And so they did have some chances, but again, it's you're not really dealing with characters like Wolverine or Cyclops where there's like iconic costumes and gear associated with these characters. So kind of give them a pass on that, but I don't know. They were never going to put them into any kind of costumes given the tone of this movie, but yet another missed opportunity there. All right, so now it's time for our category Total Destruction. So Mike, it's kind of interesting because there's only two on-screen casualties in this film. We see Danny's father. Well, I don't even think we actually see it. We just kind of hear him screaming
He
and
died.
getting eaten by the bear. Yeah. And then obviously Dr. Cecilia Reyes is also devoured by the bear. Those are the only two we see, but actually the traumas that all the characters have suffered adds up to a pretty sizable death count if you want to get real. So again, being the thorough person I am, I did my research.
Yeah, what's the population of an average reservation on American territory, Mark?
I'm glad you asked, Mike. I believe that she was in Oklahoma, the Cheyenne Reservation in Oklahoma, not in Montana. I could be wrong about that. The number there is about 8,000 total on the reservation. However, to me, it seemed like this was more like one neighborhood. So I'm going to put that casualty count at around 50. Does that feel like a pretty accurate number? Like about 50 people died in that scene?
Is that 100% of the people in the neighborhood?
Well, I'm just saying, it feels like maybe 50 people died, but
Okay.
they do say they took out the whole neighborhood.
Giant bear destroying shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
50 people. Why not?
10 to 12 houses, five or so people in each. And then, of course, the other major traumatic event was the coal miner catastrophe. According to my research, a team of coal miners consists of about 84 workers on the job
Okay.
site.
Okay.
Now, let's assume that about 60 of those workers were underground at the time of the accident. And I've got to assume complete casualty there, right? You're in a coal mine. No one got out of that alive, right? So he killed them all. So I'm going to assume 60 people died there. Then, of course, we have the priest that Wolfsbane kills and the girlfriend that Sunspot obliterates in a pool, which is a kind of an ironic. Like, wouldn't you just duck under the water immediately as soon as you catch on fire? I
You'd think.
don't really get that one, but that puts our total death count at 112 people implied killed in this movie, even though only two died. It feels about right to me.
Yeah, 90% of this movie is just 7 people in an institution. So it's a little hard to say otherwise. But that's sure, why not? It's a
Sure.
superhero movie. Let's inflate the numbers.
Next category, we got to pick our best and worst mutants, Mike. I'll go ahead and kick us off with the best mutant. I think it's Ilyana, aka Magic, by a pretty significant margin. I think not only is Anya Taylor-Joy the most talented actor in the ensemble, but Ilyana really is the only character to me that has a distinct and recognizable personality. I think that's one of the real big problems with this movie is that part of what makes The Breakfast Club so successful as a film is that each of the characters embodied a recognizable stereotype, whether that's the shy girl or the jock or the nerd or the prom queen. I felt like in this film you have bully, Ilyana, really smart alecky, really mean spirited, and then just four other characters who are pretty much interchangeable in their personalities. Like,
Yeah.
I guess Sam is like kind of sensitive and sweet a little more than the others, but I don't know. Like, Rain is really boring to me. Like, her identity is like she's gay, which I'm not trying to like belittle that identity characteristic, but I'm just saying, like, you got to have a personality on top of those things, you know? So I just felt like all the other characters were really boring, Mike.
Yeah, I agree. I think had every other role been cast with such a talented person like Anya Taylor-Joy, that it probably would have shown through a little bit more. But I know there's a lot of factors that work there with like screenplay and directing and all that. But there's a version of this movie that's out there that's like that's the John Hughes X-Men movie, and that's really good.
Totally.
And we don't have it though.
So is it safe to assume that Magic is also your favorite mutant in this movie?
I think so, just because she kind of gets the most action and like she has the sword and gets to fight the bear. She's really the one that fights the bear. Nobody else really does. She has the most to do and she's the best actor. And as you said, like her personality shines through the most. So yeah, I definitely think that she's the best mutant of the movie.
Who you got for your worst mutant, Mike?
Oh man, it's like everybody else. It's like if I had to pick, I don't even know what the other boy who's not Sunspot.
Oh, yeah, Sam.
What, oh yeah, Cannonball. Like he just moves around real fast, and that's kind of it. What does he do?
I mean, Mike, you're adapting a film with a character whose mutant power is top speed flight, and you chain him to a cement block. What are you doing? What are you doing?
They turned him into a tetherball.
Literally a tetherball. That was the exact image that came to mind when he's flying around in circles. Unbelievable. I think that's a fair pick. I actually, and I do hate to say this, and again, it's not your fault. We're goodwill hunting you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta go with Danny. This is the main character of the movie. And it's not like Blue Hunt's fault. The character's underwritten. She's in basically every scene. It all comes down to how we feel about her character. And her character is literally nothing more than, oh, what's going on with me? What's my mutant power? I don't know what my mutant power is.
Yeah.
Like, we as the audience figured out your mutant power in the very first scene of the movie. We know. And it's not dramatic irony. It's like supposed to be a mystery. No, her mutant power is bringing shit to life. Like, it's clear almost immediately what her power is. It's so frustrating that she just has to walk around the whole movie and just, what's going on with me? I'm sad. My family's sad. Like, it's tough, man. And again, I don't like to crap on her. I don't think it's the actor's fault, but just, dude, it's so tough to center your movie around this character.
No, that's a great call. And I'm actually going to change my vote to that because I'm realizing that every episode that we've done so far that have Quicksilver in it, I was like, he's the best mutant of the movie and he's like the fastest mutant. And I just talk shit about the fastest mutant in this movie. But it's not lost on me, people, is what I'm saying. But you make a great argument, and like she's definitely worse than the one that I picked. So I'm gonna pivot and go with your pick as well. The main character. I don't even what's her name? I don't even know her name.
Danny Moon. Danny Moonstar.
Perfect.
That just really speaks. They make a joke about it too. I really don't like it when comic book movies make a joke about like, really, that's your name? And it's like, yeah, that's what's been written in the comics. It was kind of funny with Dr. Octavius in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
That one was like kind of good. Like that's Zendaya, like, you know, with her dry sensibility doing it. I just generally like, don't make fun of the thing that you're supposed to be enticing people to enjoy.
That's
These
right.
people have absurd names.
That's the point.
You know? That is the nature of comic book. All right, Mike. I know we've already complained quite a bit. And now it's time for our special section of the show in which we complain even more, a section we call I've Got Questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. And I want to have them answered immediately.
Questions. Questions that need answering.
It just raises too many questions.
Too many questions. There's too many questions. There's just too many. I'll ask the questions.
Mike, I feel like I've been kind of stealing your thunder a little bit the last couple of weeks and taking questions out from under you. So why don't you kick us off?
There's a scene where our main character, I've already forgotten her name, even though you just told me.
Danny Moonstone, bro?
Yes,
Come
Danny.
on.
Where Danny is talking to Dr. Reyes, And they're having like an in-depth cathartic moments, right, where they're reflecting on why the bear attacked or something. Dr. Reyes is like, we both know it wasn't a tornado that attacked your colony. Okay, but at the beginning of the movie, she is actually the one who's like, oh, by the way, a tornado destroyed your colony. So it's like, why did you lie to her in the first place just to reveal it to her dramatically later? I don't know. That scene felt bad to me.
Dog, there's so much of that in this movie. There's so much. I'm going to go for my first question with more of just a practical question. Like, how do the young mutants get locked up in this institution? How did Danny get there? Her entire tribe is wiped out. So is there someone just was like, I heard about this place. And so they just like leave a note on her and drop her outside the door, like scared teenagers with a friend who's drug OD'd at the emergency room. Like, how does this even work? Who's dropping them off? Who's like, oh, Roberto, you're a dangerous mutant. So we heard about this facility that is training assassins. You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense. There's a Professor X school. Okay, I get the logic and how people find that. How do people find this place to drop it off? It makes no sense to me.
My thought was just like, who is funding all this? Like, I know it's Mr. Sinister, but like, someone is paying to have this property and to have people live there and bring them food. Like,
seriously, dude.
They're all alone. There's a force field.
Yeah.
How is this feasible?
You don't want to start thinking about these questions because keep you up at night, bro. And then my next one. All right. Illyana's power is that she can teleport through space and time. So, Mike.
Why is she there?
100%. Not only is she there, she's getting locked up in solitary confinement inside of the place.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You can literally teleport out of solitary confinement anytime you want to. And maybe like the psionic shield is keeping her entrapped, but at the very least, she could just sneak away, stuff some pillows under the blankets, and go sleep in her own room and then come back in the morning. Like, similarly, if Sam can be indestructible whenever he goes into cannonball mode, why is he walking around with a broken arm and black eyes? What is going on? I thought you were indestructible. Right? Right? So which is it?
Is he only indestructible when he's doing that, though?
It is only when he's doing that. So presumably he broke his arm elsewhere. He does punch himself in the face. Like, he has a lot of self-loathing. So maybe he blackened his own eye. But I just got some questions for a guy that's supposed to be invulnerable. Like, how do you end up with all these bumps and bruises, bro? Come on.
I don't know. I didn't even really catch why his arm was in a sling. It's just all of a sudden was in the next scene.
Totally. Yeah. He's just trying to hurt himself. I guess my last one is kind of a small one, but the villain is literally a demon bear. It's called a demon bear.
Yes.
Rain is in the church. Demons aren't allowed in here. Demons immediately bust in the church.
Yep.
So is the demon title just like a symbolic title? If you're a demon bear, then you're a bear that's a demon. Which is it? And does that mean there's no God in this universe because he can just stroll right into a church? I mean, I didn't like that implication from a spiritual standpoint, from a metaphysical standpoint, from any of the standpoints. That bear should have been cast out by the Holy Spirit. End of story.
Or baptized.
Or found our Savior. It's a tough one, Mike. We could literally just pick this movie apart all day. We won't do that. Instead, we're just going to get really deep and we're going to talk about what this movie was really all about. And Mike, let me tell you, it's literally about facing your fears. We all have traumas deep inside of us. Some of us killed our fathers and coworkers while exploding into a fireball deep inside a mining cave. Others of us killed our girlfriends while exploding into a fireball at a swimming pool. These things happen. But as long as we leave these formative memories and experiences unresolved, they can come back to haunt us or even kill us. Still, if we stand up to them with courage, stare them down, assert our dominance, give them a gentle shush, and tell them everything's going to be okay, they will disappear like smoke. Think about that, bro.
Mark, while I respect your opinion, and once again, what you said was beautiful and insightful, but I'm afraid that, as always, you're mistaken. Because underneath its surface as a superhero film, The New Mutants proves that modern medical doctors will push vaccines for their own financial gain But in reality, they're causing more harm than good, because what this movie is really all about is how vaccines cause autism. If you were not aware, autism itself is defined as, quote, a developmental difference affecting how people perceive, interact, and communicate with the world, end quote. And if that doesn't describe all of our main characters, then I don't know what does. Each one of them struggles with their powers and how they interact and communicate with each other, all while Dr. Reyes lurks nearby in the shadows at the ready to administer her drugs and vaccines. Throughout the movie, Reyes and the rest of the kids question how they don't know what Danny's powers really are until they manifest themselves as a large, hulking, unstoppable force of nature in the giant magical bear. This bear clearly represents autism itself as a force to overcome and directly correlating with the vaccines that Danny has received her entire adolescent life at the reservation she was raised in. And don't get me started how the white man has a long storied history of administering drugs and vaccines to the Native American community only to poison them for their own gain, culminating in the death of their father who couldn't handle her condition. Furthermore, the movie explicitly shows the cast watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a show that has been claimed by the autistic community due to its overly simplistic, campy, and downright silly nature, but deemed to be actually brilliant by those who watch it. Mark, if it isn't obvious to you by now, the New Mutants should be praised for exposing the dangers of modern vaccines and the autism conditions that they cause.
You've really opened my eyes, Mike. You know what? Let's take a break. I'm going to need to do a little research on my own. I understand that's the best way to find things out nowadays.
That's right. Do your
So
own,
let's
do your own research.
let's take a little break and we'll be right back. Okay, Mike, I've been studying everything you discussed for the last 8 hours. Watched a lot of informative interviews on YouTube and TikTok. I am 100% convinced of your argument. I apologize that I even read themes around trauma and self-discovery, overcoming the obstacles of our past to become better people. That is clearly not what this movie is about. It's about autism and vaccines. And
That's funny because I've actually been visiting like mainstream news sites like CNN and MSNBC, and I found like, oh, actually, I was wrong.
wow. All right, we're gonna have to take this debate out there. But for a new podcast, Mike opened my eyes and then he changed them, becoming to our podcast feed. All right, Mike, it's time for our last category on this film. It's time to render our final verdict. For those who are listening for the first time, we rank films on a scale of classic, great, good, okay, bad, and terrible. Mike, I mean, come on. This is a terrible movie. It's terrible. But it's not Josh Boone's fault. Josh, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. The studio couldn't decide on the film's tone and how to market it. So we're just left with this limp, awkward movie that never had chance to get close to its potential that was there in the initial pitch. If they had just decided from the jump, we want you to do an actual horror movie, but set in the X-Men universe, we could be talking about an underrated masterpiece right here. Instead, we are just left with a terrible pile of junk that I feel bad for everyone involved with for being a part of. But one more time, it's not your fault, Will Hunting. It's not your I got to assume you're going terrible too, right?
Well, I'm just now realizing this. The Thunderbolts did a better version of this movie because like all the characters dealing with their own trauma and coming
Absolutely.
together.
I can't wait to talk about that movie. Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about that one.
I actually went bad for this because I felt like this could be like a fun, like, let's put this on while everybody's playing beer pong and listening to music, you know, kind of a millennial house party kind of thing. So I went bad because I felt like you could still have fun while making fun of this one, whereas terrible, we distinguished you can't do that.
Yeah. Well, I think that to me is like, that's why it reaches terrible. It's just because it's so boring that there's not really a lot to make fun of. It's just so milquetoast. Bad movies that are fun are like campy and people are going for it. And like, even I think I called Batman and Robin like bad, not terrible, because like you could laugh and have a campy good time making fun of that movie, but like this is just boring. It's just boring. It's sad kids and their sad feelings being sad for 90 minutes, man. It's tough. Now, that would be maybe one of the accolades I would give this movie. It is, I think, only like 90 minutes. It's the shortest film in the entire franchise. That's a relief, but man, we're going to move on. We are now done talking about the New Mutants, and we will finish with our recommendations. I'll kick it off with a comic recommendation. I think, people who watch this movie and see its potential would be interested to go back and read the original Demon Bear arc from the New Mutants. I believe it's in issues 18 to 22. I read it after watching the film. They actually never directly credit that specific arc as being the inspiration for this film. However, it's very clearly the arc that's closest to it. This is when Chris Claremont was still writing for not only X-Men, but New Mutants, and kind of spreading himself across all of those titles. But this is the arc where Bill, I believe you say Stankwitz, came in as the illustrator. He brings a really cool psychedelic feel to a lot of his art and pages here. Page design and the layout is really cool. I actually thought this was a pretty good book. It does feel very familiar if you just watch the movie, but I would say it's worth checking out. And then, of course, to me personally, being my age, when I think of the New Mutants, there's really one name that comes to mind, and that name is Rob Liefeld. Rob Liefeld is best known as perhaps the co-creator of Image Comics alongside Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee back in 1992. But he got his start at Marvel working on a number of titles and then started drawing for the New Mutants in 1989. By issue 98, he had assumed full creative control in terms of the plotting and illustrating. And do you know who makes their very first comics appearance in the New Mutants, number 98? We'll be talking about his films in seasons down the line. It's Deadpool, Mike.
What?
Rob Liefeld
It is
the creator. Some would say co-creator. Rob would say just singular creator of Deadpool. He was also, if not exactly the guy that created Cable, because Nathan Summers existed in the Marvel Universe, he is kind of the creator of the character Cable in terms of a guy sent from the future back in time. So for comic readers of a certain age, those two characters alone make Rob Liefeld an absolute icon in the field. His drawing style is very influenced by other artists, and he's repeatedly been criticized by other comic book people for kind of his overly stylized drawings, his exaggerated muscular proportions, which every guy is just incredibly ripped, the tiny hidden feet, which Deadpool makes an explicit joke about in the Deadpool movies. Nevertheless, I love his art style, Mike. I think he's really good. Robert Kirkman has a great quote about him in which he says, well, yeah, it doesn't look like human anatomy because it's comic books. It's not supposed to look human. It's supposed to look cool. And he draws his version of what a cool person would look like. And I love it. I think he's truly one of my favorite illustrators, and he's an all-around awesome guy. So Rob Liefeld, we salute you. We love to have you on our show. When we talk about Deadpool, we will be in touch.
The person who said that about, well, it doesn't look realistic. Have you read any anime? Like there's
Seriously.
there's a whole ton of categories that don't look realistic.
Their eyes are just really big in anime. I just can't buy it. I can't buy it. Those are not proportional to the actual biology.
I'm just going to skip to film recommendation because I don't have a comic recommendation for the New Mutants. I've not really cared about any of those characters personally, so I haven't kept track of them. But with Anya Taylor-Joy playing the character of Magic, 2 years later, after this movie, she was in the movie The Northman. If you haven't seen that, I'd highly recommend it. So it's a Viking kind of revenge story directed by Robert Eggers, who did The Witch and your other recommendation, Mark Nosferatu, from a couple episodes ago. This is his movie about a Viking killing the people who betrayed him, basically. It's actually really interesting because it's the original story of Hamlet that inspired Shakespeare to write the play Hamlet. So this is based on that original Nordic tale that inspired Hamlet. It's awesome. It's shot amazingly well. Anya Taylor-Joy is great. Alexander Skarsgård is our titular Viking, the Northman, and he's incredible and jacked. And it's like Commando, but if you were a Viking, it's like it's pretty awesome. No, this is a great movie, and that's my film recommendation.
Yeah, I absolutely love The Northman. I love Robert Eggers. What's cool to me about The Northman is I feel like it's a deconstruction of not just the Hamlet story, but just kind of fiction in general and mythological storytelling writ large, where it really gets down to the bare bones of like what makes a hero, a hero, and these stories of revenge that we've all been told, and all these things that have become staples in Western literature. It's a deconstruction of those as much as anything. Great film. Good call. I was gonna recommend another Eggers film, which is Anya Taylor-Joy's film debut, The Witch, which you referenced before. This is Eggers' first film. It's a 2015 folk horror film that is set in 1630s New England about a Puritan family who is banished to the woods over a religious dispute. They're a highly religious family, and a lot of weird things start happening. I won't get into those specifically, but I will say that I think this has one of the best endings of any horror film I've ever seen. It's not scary so much as it's just constantly upsetting and just terrifying in the thought of, imagine getting banished to the woods in 1630s and just having to make do with you and your family on your own. I mean, that scenario alone is terrifying, much less adding in witches and other supernatural elements. I love this movie, Mike. However, that is not my official recommendation. That's my side recommendation. My official recommendation is a deeper cut that I think a lot of people haven't seen, and it's a film I really like. It's the 2017 film Thoroughbreds. Have you ever seen this one, Mike?
No, tell me.
Yeah, it's a film starring Anya Taylor-Joy and Olivia Cooke, who, not you, Mike, because you don't watch House of the Dragon, but other people might know from House of the Dragon. She's one of the two big women that are going head to head in the battle for the Westerosi crown. So you'll definitely recognize her from there. But this is like one of her first roles, and it's kind of billed as a black comedy, but to me, more of a tense kind of psychological. There's definitely comedic elements, but it's basically about two upper class teenagers in suburban Connecticut who reconnect and have been kind of fallen apart. Olivia Cooke plays someone who suffers from a mental disorder that's basically kind of seems like dissociative personality. She has no emotions. So she just literally can't really feel emotions. She talks about it, she's self-aware about it, and she's darkly funny with it. Anya Taylor-Joy is her overachieving friend, and together they start to plot to murder Anya Taylor-Joy's stepfather. Another film that just broods with tension throughout. It features the final performance from Anton Yelchin, who tragically passed away in an accident. He's so good in this movie, Mike. He's so good. And he plays this like 20-something drug dealer who has to hang out with teenagers because he's completely arrested in his development. And it's just such a sad sack, but he's so good in the part. The two of them are amazing together. Olivia Cooke actually is better than Anya Taylor-Joy in this movie, in my opinion, which is a hard thing to do because she's so talented. Very disturbing and haunting ending to this movie. It's definitely one of those indie films that has the like hardcore indie vibes, if you know what I'm talking about. It's low-key, very contained, but a really excellent and unique film I would highly recommend fans of Anya Taylor-Joy check out. All right, that's it. All right, we're done for the season. Oh, wait a minute.
We got some more. There's more to do.
We got more, baby. Got to run through our peaks and valleys from the entire X-Men franchise. Let's go, Mike. I'm excited.
That's right.
You just did like a very half-assed pew pew pew.
I'm sorry.
A little more pew pew. There it is. Okay,
that's what I got.
Yeah, so for this part of the show, we're going to be basically going through all 8 of the films that we discussed and just talking about fun facts and then really diving deep on our peaks and valleys personally, including best character, best action scene from the entire franchise, best mutant from the entire franchise, worst mutant from the entire franchise. It's a discussion of everything we've gone through, and you can agree or disagree. Hopefully you disagree. I kind of think it's more fun when the audience doesn't necessarily agree with you, but I don't know, Mike. I think there's going to be quite a bit of consensus here between the two of us, but we'll see. First off, before we get into all of that, I did want to kind of revisit the Apollon scoring system that we established
Oh, yeah.
back in Days of Future Past episode. So if you missed that one, the Apollon scoring system is an acronym for awards per lead actor as of now. We give 2 points to all cast members who have been nominated for an Emmy, Golden Globe, or BAFTA. I'm sorry, we give 1 point for that, 2 points for any Oscar nominations. We don't give extra points for wins because these bodies kind of screw things up all the time with who wins. So just being nominated is good enough for us. As we discussed on Days of Future Past, that film has quite a high Apollon score among really all superhero films. However, I was very interested. I ran it through the supercomputer that I use to conduct it because it's a really sophisticated machine, Mike, to come up with the scoring system. So
Yeah, it's like 100 feet tall. I've seen it.
it literally, yeah, you'll think it's a skyscraper. It's actually just the computer that we built to do the scoring system. Found a couple interesting Apollon facts I wanted to share with you here. So I was surprised to learn, Mike, putting all the numbers in the supercomputer, the average Apollon score, so this is cast size divided by total points.
Okay.
Days of Future Past, not only is it not the highest of the X-Men franchise, it's actually the 4th highest. It turns out that partly due to a smaller cast and then, averages being brought down, X-Men has an Apollon average of 10 points. X-Men 2 has an Apollon average of 10.25 points. And you know what the highest rated film in the X-Men series is?
I would have said X-Men 1 or 2, so I don't know.
It's X-Men The Last Stand at 11.77 average score in the Apollon category. Do you know why, Mike?
No, tell me.
It's because Kelsey Grammer has won a crap load of Emmys for playing Dr. Fraser Crane.
That's so disappointing.
I know. This goes crazy due to him. It's kind of ironic and funny. Yeah, and it's also quite telling. The New Mutants Apollon score, 1.42. It is extremely low. Anya Taylor-Joy is really the only one that's putting up points there.
I would think so.
Now, Mike, I also I did a little research using the supercomputer, and I found the most screen time among all of the different X-Men characters throughout we'll just call it 7 because definitely New Mutants isn't going to get the most screen time over the full series. So
right.
The 7 films in the mainline X-Men genre. Do you have any guesses as to who number 1 is?
Hugh Jackman.
You're damn right. He is in 160 minutes plus of all of these films. Who's number 2?
His primary co-star, Zanya Onatopp from Goldeneye.
That would be Jean Grey, aka Famke Johnson.
Famke, yeah.
Johnson. Jean Grey is actually 5th in screen time at 80 minutes across all films.
Okay.
Come on, man. You got to know the next 2. Just think about it. Who are the next 2 biggest
Either
characters?
Patrick Stewart or Ian McKellen.
Well, it's the character, not just the actor. Professor X is number 2 at 150 minutes throughout the films. Magneto is number 3 at 125. And number 4, largely based on the prequels,
Beast.
Beast is number 6 at 65 minutes. It's Mystique, man.
Oh, Mystique.
Jennifer Lawrence, of course. 95 minutes of Mystique across all of these films. So one other thing, and this one really almost blew the supercomputer apart. We organized these films by Rotten Tomato and Letterboxd score. It was like, cannot process this information. This is too sophisticated. It's sort of interesting because, these are 2 different metrics, and obviously Letterboxd goes on a 5-star scale. It's user-generated. Rotten Tomatoes, which I think people still misunderstand, the percentage is not out of 10. It's out of what percentage of critics would recommend. There's no star ranking there, right? It's just 95% of people would recommend a movie, right? So, Number 1 in both categories, Days of Future Past. 3.8 on the Letterboxd, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 2, a little surprising with this one, X-Men First Class. 3.7 on Letterboxd, 86% on the Rotten Tomato meter. Number 3, as you mentioned, X2, 3.6 and 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, from here, you can kind of really guess, honestly. X-Men is number 4. It's 3.4 on Letterboxd, 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. Then you've got, this one surprised me, Mike. Apocalypse is next, 2.6 and 47% on Rotten Tomato. The biggest gap is X-Men The Last Stand, which is 2.5 on Letterboxd, which is generally more generous. 58% Rotten Tomatoes, which was a little surprisingly high to me. The New Mutants is actually the second to worst, which really surprised me because I think Dark Phoenix is definitely better than the New Mutant.
I think so.
Not saying it's great, but it's better.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
2.2 on Letterboxd, 35% Rotten Tomatoes. Dark Phoenix, 1.8 on Letterboxd, 22% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think they got it wrong. I'm not trying to sit here and revisionist history and tell you that Dark Phoenix is a great film. That movie has 2 banger action scenes. Real heads, go out there and check out those scenes. I think you'll agree.
On YouTube.
All right, Mike, it's time to assign some peaks and valleys. So I thought maybe we'd start, because these are ensemble films. Let's go best movie by character.
Okay.
So given that Wolverine has the most screen time, which X-Men movie has the best Wolverine?
I think if we're only talking about the X-Men standalone movies, that the best performance by Wolverine is Days of Future Past. He's the funniest in that version. He's the most jacked out of what we've seen so far. He definitely has like become very comfortable in his skin. Hugh Jackman, I mean, and like what he's doing with Wolverine, he knows exactly what to do here. It's like the best casting for the best character in the best movie in the franchise, basically. This is the winner, I think.
Totally agree. I've got Days of Future Past as well. He was my best mutant in that movie, and there was stiff competition. I really like his character in that movie. He anchors the whole thing. As you mentioned, he's funny, and even though he gets left out of the final big climactic battle, what happens to him is so shocking and surprising that it's actually good in service of the film as a whole. I think it's Days of Future Past too. How about Professor X?
I'm going to go Days of Future Past again. He is always like the mentor figure, and he's the most mentor in this movie than he is in the other ones. You know, he's from both actually ends of that spectrum. Like he's the older version of him, reaches back into the past to be the mentor to the younger version of himself and teach him back then. And then we get the young version where he's like a junkie and the most interesting part of this character that he's been, and just everything becomes very interesting with that interaction. So this movie has the best version of that character for that reason.
Totally agree yet again. Yeah, this is the one for him. You called it. The contrast of old Professor X and what we know of him in the first 3, and then seeing him in his lowest point by far in the entire series. In this one, it's great to see. It actually creates an arc between the 2 versions of his character as well, which is cool to explore. And this is McAvoy's best performance for sure in this one. He sells it really well. It could have been really corny, and yet you really believe how much he's struggling in this one. So we're 2 for 2 here.
All right.
Magneto. Curious about this one. What do you got for Magneto's best movie?
I went Days of Future Past again because we get, again, 2 versions of the character, and I always love seeing Ian McKellen. It's him at his most powerful, I feel like, where he lifts the stadium. That's like the most badass version of the character that we've seen for his powers. Fassbender is amazing in that role as well, so I think that's his best performance in the characters in this movie. So yeah, I'm gonna go Days of Future Past again. 3 for 3.
This is my first disagreement. That would definitely be second for me. I'm going to go original X-Men with this one. I think that Magneto in the first film, the way that he's introduced, Ian McKellen has to do a lot with his character in terms of presenting someone who is opposed to the X-Men, who's their arch villain, but also you can understand where this character is coming from. You can see his perspective. He's not a maniac. He's not deranged. He wants rights. The thing that's compelling about his character is that the X-Men and Magneto share the same goal. Their means to achieve that goal is what causes their conflict. That has to be conveyed from the jump. And I think that the Magneto in the original X-Men movie just establishes how multifaceted and complex this character is right away. So I'm going to give it to the first X-Men movie for best Magneto performance.
Nice.
I'll go first on this next one. It's another Days of Future Past pick, Mike. I really like Mystique in this movie. I think there might be, I don't want to start beef here, but maybe a bit of a disagreement on her capoeira skills. I love her fighting style in this movie. But I also think, in part because she's just kind of a sidekick in X-Men First Class, and then her character gets real muddled in Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, it's by far the best Mystique. This is really the one movie where Jennifer Lawrence, who's another just tremendously talented actor, gets a chance to shine. It's complicated, and I just really like how at the end of the film too, it's like Professor X is like, I'm not going to mind control you here. You've got to make your own decision. You've got to choose this for yourself. I'm not going to make you do anything. And she does choose. So again, like, one of the things the X-Men series is known for is complex, multifaceted villains, and Mystique is, she's just kind of the henchman in the first three, and then Jennifer Lawrence really turns her into a very complex and sympathetic figure in the prequels, and I think this is her best moment. So I'm going Days of Future Past.
That's a great call. It's really hard to disagree with that. My initial instinct was to go to X2 for this character, just because I really like all the characters that she impersonates. I think
It's
works really well into the plot and how they're trying to trick everybody. And then, she gets that scene where she infiltrates the Alkali base, and just Rebecca Romaine is amazing in that cosmetic setup.
Straight up, dog. I mean, it's okay. Like, she is beautiful.
Absolutely. I gave it to X2 for this one, but yeah, it's hard to argue because her involvement and the way that they incorporate her into the overall plot at large is like, it's really well done for Days of Future Past. It's like neck and neck for me.
Next up, and this is a tough one, Jean Grey. Now, I'm going to make an unconventional pick here, Mike. I'm going to go with Dark Phoenix. I can't say this movie was like incredible. We talked about Sophie Turner's performance. It's a little mixed. She is the anchor of this film. She is the lead actor in Dark Phoenix. She does a good job. It's not what anyone wanted. I can't believe these critic scores. I think this movie is way better than 22% on Rotten Tomatoes. But she has a few great moments in the movie. She sells it. The things that are happening around it are more story choices, and it's another Good Will Hunting, not your fault situation, I think, to a certain extent. It's a little bit by default because I do think Jean Grey overall is a little bit underserved. But yeah, I think Dark Phoenix is probably the best Jean Grey movie. What do you got?
I got X2 again. I'm surprised. She is basically the secondary plot to this movie. Like, everything's going on with Stryker and all that, but then behind that, it's really her movie, not affecting the main plot. And it's like how they tie that into the end of the movie where she finally unleashes her full power and saves everybody's life. I don't know. It's like the movie shifted tone and became like, oh, actually what's happening over here with her is way better than what we were dealing with over here. I don't know. I just thought that version of that character kind of gives her the gravitas that her character should get. And Dark Phoenix, I felt like, kind of fell flat when it should have been doing the same thing. Like, it should have been elevating that character up as like, this is actually kind of badass storytelling of what we need to do with this character here, and you should pay attention to that.
You make a good argument. I'm just like still hung up on fucking Iceman letting everyone die when it was his time to shine and just cowering like a goddamn coward.
He messed up, man. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a goddamn coward in the back of the Blackbird, just hiding out. So I'm a little bitter from that one. And our last big character that's in multiple movies, so we should discuss, is Beast. Mike, why don't you kick us off with Beast?
It's Days of Future Past again. Like, this is the best version of all these characters, pretty much. Like,
I'm trying to build tension here, and it's like it always comes back to Days of Future Past. Like, yeah, Beast is awesome. He looks way cooler than he did in the one before. I really like the scene where he fights Magneto in the fountain, and they cut to the film of like the Zapruder film of just regular people filming it. Good stuff. Nicholas Hoult, you the man. So our next category is going to be your next favorite mutant from any of the films, whether that's Cyclops, or you can pick a villain. You can go with anybody from any of the X-Men films. Who is your next favorite X-Men?
I mean, it should be Quicksilver. He's incredible. He fixes all of their problems. He's charismatic and funny. He absolutely steals every scene that he is in both the movies that he's in. It's Quicksilver.
I love how much you love Quicksilver, Mike. I love it. I want to find something I love like Mike loves Quicksilver in the X-Men movies. It's my goal. To me, it's Nightcrawler. I think Nightcrawler in X2 gets an all-time action scene to open the movie, and he's also, throughout the series, just a really sympathetic symbol for the prejudice that's faced by the mutants. That is obviously an allegory that runs through all these films, and no one can embody that quite like this poor guy that looks like a demon who's actually a hardcore Christian. He also has a little bit of comic relief throughout, sprinkled in here and there. So I'm going with Nightcrawler as my next favorite character. Best directing is kind of a tricky one here because we're going to shower praise on filmmakers that it's been kind of tough to talk about all season. Obviously, neither of us condone their behaviors outside, and yet they have undeniable talent as filmmakers. So it's a little weird to single them out in this category. But let's just do this quickly. It's got to be Days of Future Past, right? Like that's the winner for best directing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, balances the two storylines well. The pacing is excellent. The action scenes are all memorable. I also think, too, this is like the peak of his contributions from the crew, specifically, as I mentioned, Newton Thomas Siegel and editor-composer John Ottman. I think we both agree this is the best score, is Future Past. I know you liked X2 a little bit, too, but yeah, it's Future Past. That gets our best directing. Best screenplay, I gave a lot of props to the script of Days of Future Past, which I love. I think it's an excellent script by Simon Kinberg. However, I'm going to go with X2, story by Zach Penn, David Hayter, and Bryan Singer, screenplay by Michael Dougherty, Dan Harris, and David Hayter. The reason why is that I think that X2 elevates the entire franchise to a new level. We don't get Days of Future Past unless X2 completely slaps, and it really does. It really feels like the entire franchise takes off with X2 and kind of doesn't look back in some ways, for better or worse at times, but the action just gets scaled up. And I think they do an excellent job of kind of balancing the different storylines, of kind of splitting up the team, of making Magneto ostensibly a heroic figure, and then his big backstab at the end where he turns Jason and Cerebro against all the humans instead of the mutants. There's just a lot of little clever twists. And then, of course, Jean Grey's tragic death at the end. To me, this felt like the best version of like an elevated superhero formula, if that makes sense. Future Past is kind of so specific in terms of its like plotting and just, oh, we have one group in the future and one in the past. Like you can't really replicate that, right? Plenty of people have tried to replicate the story mechanics of X2 and have failed. I really do think it set a kind of a new level for ensemble superhero storytelling. So that's my pick.
We're in agreement again. I went X2 as well. I really love when, you were talking about how a movie like steps up its game from its previous release. And I really love when a sequel to a movie really brings its game and punches it up and ups the stakes a bit. You could look at like Alien to Aliens, and then Star Wars to Empire, and Planet of the Apes 1 to Planet of the Apes 2. Like everything just steps up and becomes bigger and grander. And this is no exception. It does a great job of putting things on a global scale as opposed to being a little more self-contained, but it does feel personal at the same time. And I think that that's a hard thing to accomplish when you're dealing with such high stakes from a screenwriting perspective. So I think X2 is a great way for them to level up their game from the previous version. And then, like you said, Days of Future Past wouldn't exist because of that. Like it had to succeed previously for it to reach that point and give us that great version of the movie. So that really says something about how they secured a foothold with X2.
All right, we got some fun ones now. We're going to go with best opening narration. I don't know that I should try to read all of this dialogue in a Charles Xavier voice. Part of me wants to give it a shot, but this would probably chew up about 10 minutes just to redo it. But that is one of the enduring things about all of the X-Men films. Charles Xavier most often is the one that opens the movies without narration. If you remember, actually, excluding the New Mutants, 6 of the 7 movies open with narration. The only one that doesn't is X-Men First Class. So there's a little fun fact for you. You've seen them. You got them printed in front of you. Mike, what is the best opening narration out of the X-Men movies?
I don't really have a stake in this. So I mean, it's like, okay.
You must make a choice.
If
Make
I
a choice,
really had
man.
to choose, I'll go with Days of Future Past, because it's kind of like Linda Hamilton talking at the beginning of Terminator 2 with like, oh, we have a dark world that we live in, but
A world of war,
yes,
suffering. Loss on both sides.
but we're destined for greater things, and also destiny doesn't exist because we make our own fate, and it's something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I went with that one because it wasn't as like grandiose about evolution and greater things, and it was more sci-fi related. I don't know.
Yeah, the scene around it is really cool. This is the rare shout out for me to X-Men Apocalypse. I actually really like the opening narration in this. Mutants born with extraordinary abilities, and yet they are stumbling like a child in the dark, searching for guidance. A gift can often be a curse. Give someone wings, they may fly too close to the sun. Give them power of prophecy, and they may live in fear for the future. Give them the greatest gifts of all, powers beyond their imagination, and they may think they're meant to rule the world. Good stuff. My mom used to that was like what she would tell me before I went to bed. And now here it is all these years later. It showed up in a movie. It's such a weird coincidence. So there we go. Next fun one. Best Stan Lee cameo. Stan Lee appears in 3 of the films. He is a hot dog vendor on the beach in the original X-Men movie. In X-Men The Last Stand, at the opening flashback sequence, he is a neighbor of the young Jean Grey who is watering his lawn with a hose, and then you start seeing the water telekinetically float in the air. And then in X-Men Apocalypse, he appears actually alongside his real-life wife, Joan B. Lee, as a bystander. They're looking up in the sky in terror as Apocalypse launches the world's nuclear arsenal into space. You see the nukes in Stan Lee's sunglasses. That enough to me is I got to give it to Apocalypse again. Apocalypse winning back-to-back awards on the Soupies.
I'm all right with that. We can give it to that.
All right, so best costume. The single best costume from one character in one movie. The X-Men change outfits throughout the series. A lot of controversy around X-Men outfits. I'll tell you right now, Mike, my single best outfit is Magneto in Days of Future Past at the end when he puts on the cape. It kind of has the M shape, like the old school Magneto. If you just look at stills across the various X-Men movies, this is the one. He's always had one of the coolest costumes, in my opinion, in all of comic books. And I think this is the one out of the X-Men movies that really blew me away. So it's Magneto, Days of Future Past. What do you got?
I really like that one. I mean, that's an amazing costume. I like how it's a little bit more of a red tint than purple. Magneto's very traditionally the royal purple color, and this is not that. It's a little more burgundy. It's a little redder. I like it. But I really like the way that Professor X looks in X-Men 1 with the blue suit and the stainless steel wheelchair behind him with the X's on the wheels. That's just like completely simplistic and classic looking and very sleek. It's like the James Bond Aston Martin, of characters, basically. Like everything just looks very polished on that. So I don't know. I just really love the costume design there. So that's my pick.
That's a great pick. That's a really good poll right there, Mike. I like it. Almost enough to persuade me, but as I mentioned, I'm a big fan of bald version of Professor X at the end of Apocalypse when he closes Cerebro's doors. That to me is like the peak Professor X. So
for that one shot.
For the one shot. Best villain non-Magneto edition. Magneto's obviously kind of the antagonist in all these films, so we got to pick someone else. I think this one's pretty obvious. It's William Stryker, Brian Cox's William Stryker, specifically from X2. Brian Cox, I mean, we talked about it in an episode. What actor in all of Hollywood has had a bigger glow up in the last 5 to 10 years than Brian Cox? He was iconic on Succession. You realize, oh my God, this guy's been in everything when you look back on his IMDb. And he's just so good as William Stryker in this. His hate for mutant kind comes through. And yet he's so amoral that he could torture his own son into doing mass killings and like war crime level stuff. Just an absolutely evil man in that. I got to go with Stryker next too.
You've convinced me. I was going to go Peter Dinklage, but I think that you made a more compelling case. So I'm changing my mind on the spot. Yeah, William Stryker next to Brian Cox. Man, that guy's incredible. You've already said it all. Like it was amazing.
We should take a moment to shout out Dinklage. He does a great job. I really like him in that movie, but yeah, Stryker next to is better. Oh, we're getting to the big ones now. This is the last part of the ceremony when everybody's like nervous in their chairs and the Dolby Amphitheater in Hollywood. Patrick Stewart, calm down. Calm down. Jesus.
You're gonna get a Supey, bro. It's okay.
He's already gotten Supey. He's just got best costume, man.
That's
like,
right.
he needs to chill out. Best action scene in the entire X-Men franchise. Mike, this is the big one. And I'll tell you what, I thought long and hard about this, buddy. And I'm going opening Sentinel attack in Days of Future Past. The context here is important because if you remember in our episode, I actually picked the Paris Peace Treaty signing as the best action scene in the moment. Now, in the context of that film by itself, I stand by that decision. But looking at the overall arc of all X-Men films, Days of Future Past, okay, Bryan Singer's back. We're all excited. Let's see. Really hope this is good. All of us were just had our fingers crossed. Please, God. X3 was so bad. X-Men First Class was cool, but not mind-blowing. Bryan Singer's back. Let this be good. And that opening Sentinel attack, it's just like all the fears just left my body, like the phoenix rising from Jean Grey. It's so sick. The mutants are combining their powers in really cool, novel ways. You get a ton of mutant action right away. It was just absolutely glorious in the moment. It's glorious to rewatch. It's the opening Sentinel attack from Days of Future Past. What do you got?
Oh man, I'm so surprised you didn't go with the Nightcrawler scene from X2, the opening scene. You
I love it.
Gushed over it.
Dude, I agonized, Mike. I agonized because I love that scene so much. I think you can make a similar argument that elevates the action in the series moving forward. It was mind-blowing at the time, absolutely mind-blowing. But once you've already seen that, you're like, oh, I know Bryan Singer can pull the tricks out. Does he still have the magic? And it was like right away in Days of Future Past. Okay, welcome back, buddy. Great job again. All right, what do you got?
I kind of want to go to the end scene of X-Men 1 at the Statue of Liberty because
Wow, let's go.
kind of iconic in the way that, Wolverine flips around the spike of the Statue of Liberty's crown and Magneto on top. Like that was the first villain to do the trope of like, I'm going to spread a virus from the top of New York City down onto everybody else. Like that opened the door for Amazing Spider-Man with the lizard and like a bunch of other movies that kind of tried to do the same thing. All those characters are really good. It's a good use of everybody's powers. Magneto's in control. He's like taking care of shit. I don't know. When I think of X-Men, like quote unquote, that's the scene I go to right there.
I love it. And now we can see, obviously, in the audience, Ian McKellen's going crazy. He loves it.
Calm down, Ian.
He's all right. He's calm. All right, now it's time for our best non-action scene. This is another tough one. As you might be aware, most of the X-Men films are non-action scenes. In fact, the vast majority of the films are made up of non-action scenes. That makes this probably the hardest category to decide. For my pick, I'm going with the God-fearing man speech that Magneto gives to Senator Kelly in the original X-Men. This establishes so much about Magneto's character, including the understandable moral logic of his extreme vision for mutant rights. Just kind of tossed off. I'm a God-fearing man. You can't hurt me. And he's like, God-fearing? Really? That's the word you want to use? All right, let me tell you about that. And he just goes off, and it's so awesome. And McKellen is chilling. He might as well be citing Shakespeare in that moment. I love it so much, and it really establishes everything for Magneto to come. So I'm going with God-fearing man in the original X-Men. What do you got?
I think that the series was at its most powerful in Days of Future Past when Professor X and Magneto like finally hash it out on the airplane leaving DC. And it was the scene that I mentioned in like, I think it was my best non-action scene of Days of Future Past where
It was.
Magneto, where he like gets so upset that he like starts to cripple the plane. You can see that in his anger and like he's still standing completely upright in the fuselage, but everything around him is going crazy, including all the passengers. I just think that both actors in that moment like were delivering their best performance, McAvoy and Fassbender. Yeah, I don't know. I think that scene like delivers such a powerful emotional impact that finally delivers like this is what these two characters are really all about. Yeah, I think they did a good job of delivering that moment.
It's the scene where he articulates the real difference between them
Yes.
that Magneto will never forget. That's his whole thing. I will never forget any injustice that's been done upon our people. Whereas Professor X is, I have the big picture in mind. We have to make some compromises. I'm willing to do that to get humanity on our side. And Magneto's like, absolutely not. Look at the death that your compromised vision has created. So it's a great call out. Solid choice. All right, Mike. The single best use of mutant powers, not in a moment, but in a scene. I'll start us off with this one. It's a tough one because what we're talking about here is just a cool moment when someone was like, oh, that'd be cool. Imagine if you could do that. And to me, the best moment is when Magneto pulls the guns on the cops at the train station in the original X-Men. Now, we're used to Magneto bending the Statue of Liberty, bending these giant metal objects, can do all kinds of stuff with giant metal objects. But what's cool about that scene is this shows how even just one person with a gun is just nothing to Magneto. Like, oh, you've got a gun? Cool. I'm going to pick that out of your pocket, pull it out, point it at you. And in fact, I'm even going to pull the trigger, and that bullet is also under my control. And I can put it directly pressed against your forehead without you actually getting killed. What a flex. What a cool way to demonstrate just how powerful he is in any given scenario. Go ahead and fire a rocket shell at Magneto. Go ahead. How'd that work out in X-Men First Class? You know? Magneto, his powers are so sick in the modern world that we live in where everything is made of metal. Magneto is the man, and this gives you that scope of just like, man, this dude could do anything. He literally could do almost anything. So that's my pick for the best use of mutant powers in a moment, not a scene.
I went a little smaller than that. I was thinking like really small moments here, and I went with Iceman in X2 when Wolverine hands him the soda so that he can blow on it and make it cold. I was like, that's something I would use literally every day of my life.
It's really good to have a friend that can do that. Like, it really is. No matter what beverage you have at any moment, you're just like in G Love and Special Sauce heaven with the cold beverages.
I felt like there were a lot. What's the most like useful like moment, not focused on a scene, and that's what I came up with.
It's a good one too. All right, we're getting into some heavy hitters here. Continuing on, the worst mutant in all of the X-Men films. I know where you're going with this, by the way. I already know your pick. Why don't you just tell the people if they haven't already guessed?
It's Cactus Boy from X-Men 3, Ken the Wong. God bless you. You're a great actor, but that role sucks.
Yeah, what's going on there? I don't even know. I'm actually going a little more high-minded. I'm still fucking bitter about Apocalypse. Like, I cannot believe how badly they screwed up Apocalypse. You have this amazing actor and Oscar Isaac. You have one of the all-time villains, and yet Oscar Isaac never should have been put in this position. He sucks. He's the worst part about that movie. I don't like his character. This is really, really bad for someone who's such an iconic villain to the X-Men to be reduced to what we saw in that movie. Like, it still pisses me off. It just gets my goat, man.
Did you see him on Hot Ones last week talking about being in that costume?
Yeah, I didn't see it. I've heard about it though. I did see some headlines that were him referencing that. Yeah, he had a miserable time. Like, he never should have been there.
It was so much latex that like between every scene, every shot, he had to go to like a cool down tent so they could just cool him off for 15 minutes. It sounds like a miserable experience.
That's tough, man. It's really tough. It's this is another not your fault.
It's not your fault.
This is like a new category. Yeah, it's like the Goodwill Hunting category of like, it's not your fault. I love you, Oscar Isaac, but man, just so tough. All right, these are the three big ones. We combine the top categories, the lowest category, and then the Supey Award for Best Film. Let's start with Best Mutant. Now, this is the overall best character based on the totality of all the X-Men films. Who do you got?
It's Magneto. I've been saying it like every movie up to this point. He's the best part of every movie, whether it's Ian McKellen or Michael Fassbender. His powers are infinitely cooler and more powerful than pretty much everybody else except for like Quicksilver. But the character is so deeply written He's a Holocaust survivor. He's got a lot of emotional baggage and pain from his family and his second family that he tried to create, all these things. And like, it's such a complicated character to follow along with, and like you sympathize with him, but it's also he crosses the line a lot, and it's like, I get what you're doing, but don't do that. You know, if I were to pick someone whose powers I would want, I'd go with his. Yeah, he's the best character in all these movies, no matter the version of him. It's just him.
Mike, I totally agree. It's Magneto. I will go a step further. If it was not for the Joker, I think he would have a very strong case as the best villain in all of superhero cinema. He's, as you said, very complex. He's almost like a frenemy. Like sometimes he's their ally, sometimes he's their enemy. As I mentioned, their goals are the same. Like Magneto has a really big heart at the end of the day for mutant kind. He has nothing but contempt for humans, whereas Charles is trying to integrate both. That's where the conflict comes in. But they share the same goal, so that's why he can switch so often from friend to ally. And based on his actual origin story as a Holocaust survivor, you understand his motivations. Like, that's really important. Why is Lex Luthor such a jerk? No one really knows, right? Batman movies until the Joker, which we'll get to eventually, they don't ever explain like why he's psychotic. He's a great character. I'm not disparaging the Joker, but I'm just saying, like, what's his real underlying motivation? Why did he get to this point? We understand that from literally the first scene of X-Men on, why he is who he is.
Yeah, totally.
And so that actual character level of understanding, it gives his decisions a real basis. So it's Magneto for sure. I totally agree. I think for a worst film, Mike, let's be gentle here. I don't want to bag on New Mutants anymore. Personally, we weren't even expecting anything from that movie. So to me, you can't be that mad at it. For me, given everything, the answer is actually Apocalypse. X3, you rated it terrible. I actually rated it okay, only because it wasn't as bad as I remember it being at the time. And I do think there's been a lot of worse movies, superhero films since then. But Apocalypse, I just said it, man. It's just, you're coming out of Days of Future Past. Your stock has never been higher. You get Oscar Isaac. You know, you have all the main cast coming back, and like that's what we get. Bryan Singer's back, like everyone's back, and it's just, it sucks. It's so disappointing to me. Given the context of everything, I have to say I was more let down by Apocalypse than I was by X3. So that's my pick. What do you got?
As you just said, I rated it terrible then. I'm rating it terrible now. It's still X3. It's still the worst of all of these. After these few weeks of revisiting all these movies with you again, I can still very confidently say that X3 is the worst X-Men movie of all time. It was such a disappointment coming from X2. Imagine if we went to go see Return of the Jedi and all of a sudden Luke and Leia and Chewbacca all got killed in the opening scene, and all we have left is Han Solo. That's kind of how it felt like, with just Wolverine and Cyclops dying, Professor X dying, you know, everybody dying off screen. You don't kill people off screen. That's a rule. If they're killed off screen, we can bring them back. And they didn't follow that. So I don't know. It's just like, it's a terrible script. It's terrible editing. I just have to put it at the bottom of the barrel every time. I can't say it any other way. It's X3.
And Brett Ratner has stormed out of the Dolby Theater, folks. He is extremely
See
mad.
you, Brett.
He yelled something about, I'll get Donald Trump on you or something like that. But
Oh, shit.
See you later, Brett. Sorry about that. And now, Mike, we've come to our last award of the evening, the coveted Supey Award. This is the award we give out for the best film in the franchise we discussed. Past winners include the original Superman, the original Batman from last season. So really just two past winners. So, you know,
This is the third Soupy. So
you know, we you know, that's just the math. That's how it's worked out. This is the third Soupy. Those entries went immediately onto the Wikipedia page for those films, so you can check that out. You can see it, you know, near the top of their Wikipedia entry and the winner of Best Soupy Award. So who will be joining that elite company Mike, on the count of 3, I want us to both say it at the same time.
Well, hang on, because what happens if we disagree? Because there's no tiebreaker here. There's no third person.
That's true, but let's give it a shot and then we'll talk it out if we need to. Okay?
Okay.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Logan.
X-Men Days of Future Past.
Oh, wait.
Hey, no, that's not part of the series. It's X-Men Days of Future Past. Let's go. Let's be real. It's right. Like, yeah.
It totally is. Yeah.
Yes.
That movie's amazing.
The best film. Yes. It holds up even better than I remember it being. The action scenes are phenomenal. All the performances are great. Future performances, past performances. It brings all of the different characters in a mashup of Avengers style in a way that actually services the story and doesn't feel superfluous. Really elite stuff in the world of superhero filmmaking. So congratulations, X-Men Days of Future Past. You are a Supey Award winner. Mike, as a coda to this, the audience has been pinging me, man.
No, hang
they
on.
really,
I'm playing
really
you off
want
right
to know.
now. I'm playing you off.
No, you can't. You can't play it off. I'm sorry. Now, you made this movie great when we discussed it, and I was stunned. And I mentioned during our award ceremony, we may have to come back and revisit this and see if you will elevate Days of Future Past to a classic level. So, Mike, the microphone is all yours. Why don't you tell the people, is it elevated or is it still only great?
You changed my mind once before tonight. I'm okay with saying that you can change it again. It's a classic. Days of Future Past. It wins the Supey. It wins the Supey. It wins the best X-Men film of season 3 of this podcast. Well done.
I love to hear it. They're all out. They're crying, Mike. They're actually crying tears of joy. The full cast of X-Men Days of Future Past has joined us. For some reason, Brian Singer is not in attendance, but the rest of the people, they're all in tears right now. They are just completely overwhelmed by this honor, and as they should be, Mike. I mean,
I know. Hugh Jackman, calm down.
What's that? You'd rather get a Supey than an Oscar, he says. Okay. Wow. Well, I'll take it. This might not be your last, by the way, Hugh Jackman. Got a Deadpool and Wolverine season coming up a couple of years from now. It's going to be a while, but we'll get there eventually. We'll talk about those films too. So
that's right. It's
a really powerful, should I say, way to wrap up season 3. You love to see the emotion. Mike, what a time. This has been great. I've really loved talking superhero films with you, man. It's super fun and get a little emotional for a moment. It's just, this one has been really good for me, in part because I love the X-Men so much. As I mentioned at the top, they're my entry into comic books in a lot of ways, and I think the themes and symbolism are very rich with the X-Men. I can't wait to see future X-Men installments like in Doomsday, and then the new X-Men series that will eventually come from the MCU. So we'll have more X-Men to talk down the line, but yeah, this has been super fun.
This was very cathartic. This is a lot of my childhood. X-Men 1 and 2 was 12 and 14 years old. Those movies were a big part of my high school career, and it's been just a blast to revisit all these. It's been great. I can't wait for what's next. Do you want to tell the good folks what's next?
Let's let them know. Next season, Superhero Cinema Club Season 4, we will be swinging our way into New York with Spider-Man. We're going to be talking about the first 5 entries in the Spider-Man series. So the Sam Raimi trilogy, followed by the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. We're going to save Spider-Verse and the MCU for later, as we did Logan and Wolverine and Deadpool in this one. A little bit of a shorter season, but I think it'll be timely because we'll be releasing near the release of the newest Spider-Man movie, which we're definitely going to discuss in the sneak preview. Those are always popular. So yeah, Spider-Man, look forward to that. We say goodbye to the X-Men and we sign off for the season. Thank you so much for your support and for listening. It really means a lot to Mike and I. We really appreciate it, and we love what we get to do here on our podcast, and we really appreciate all the follows and support and the shares on social media. Shout out once again to Eric and Julia Leewald for coming on our opening episode and talking to us about X-Men, the animated series. This has just been so much fun revisiting all the X-Men movies. And now we blast off into the future for more adventures on Superhero Cinema Club.
Superhero Cinema Club is hosted by Mark Schiff and me, Mike Carnes. Produced by Mark Schiff. Editing by Mike Carnes. Original music provided by Chris Carnes. Find him on Spotify. Be sure to follow us on social media. You can find us at Superhero Cinema Club, and don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a review. Join us next time as we dive into another epic adventure from the world of superhero cinema.